Hi guys, I'm John Garage, and today I'm going to be talking about how big is too big for one of your Swiss Army knives, and I'm just going to spoil it right now. I think the Swiss Champ is too big, but not for the reason you might think. Basically, there are many different shapes and sizes of Swiss Army knives. You know, just like people are different in many ways, so are these things. So a lot of people, at least I did, when I first approached Swiss Army knives, I was like, I don't really know where to start. The first one I ended up picking up for myself was the Swiss Army Deluxe Tinker. And the thing that drew me to this was that it had pliers on it. But shortly after that, I was like, well, did I make the wrong decision? Is it too big? Do I even need pliers that much? And I got the Swiss Army Climber. So I kind of want to have this be the starting point for this video, because all the tools on these kind of build off of what is on here. So instead of being like, well, this one has this and this has this, I'm just going to say, here are the additional tools on it. So starting off, this has a corkscrew, it has a hook, and it has a awl on the back. Then it has toothpick, tweezers. Then up here it has a big knife, small knife, small knife, and scissors here. And then last but not least, it has a can opener and a bottle opener, and then the tips can be used as like flathead screwdrivers. So that's where this story begins. And this thing is a small 3-layer one, and I think it's the smallest you can get while having like the biggest bang for your buck. Smaller than this, I'm not going to get into, but you start kind of losing things that I think are important. Like one of the big ones is you lose the scissors for most of them, except for the compact, but that has other concessions it makes to be able to do that. And it's not even that much thinner than this, so it's like, to me, it's like you might as well just get this. Anyway, and then smaller than that just becomes like, you know, a race to see just how tiny it can get and how many tools you can remove before it just becomes an empty husk, in my opinion. But so there's that, and I bought the Deluxe Tinker, which has these things, but instead of a corkscrew on the back, it has a little Phillips thing. And that was one of the things with this, was like, I tried using this a few times, and it was like, it was just unwieldy to me. I'd always end up putting it back away and just pulling out the like bottle opener instead, because I was able to go at it at a more easy angle, I thought. So it made me feel like, you know, that's kind of useless there. And like, I did really like the pliers though, but the more I was thinking about it, I just figured like, hey, well, the corkscrew can't really be replaced by a bottle opener or whatever. And then you can get things like mini screwdrivers, you know, for your glasses and stuff. You can put that in there and then tighten the screw on your glasses in case that gets messed up. You can also get little things of tinder and stuff to put in there. So I was like, okay, you know, tried this, and I was like, well, I actually liked having the pliers on it too. So, and having this in my pocket is, you know, I felt like pretty beastly. Let's try going a little bit bigger. And then this thing I bought separately, it's the Swiss Army Ranger, and what this has is basically all the tools on the climber, but then on the back, this is a 5-layer one, so it adds a chisel and it's called a dolphin nose, like flathead screwdriver, and they call it that because I guess it looks a little like a dolphin. But then on the other side here, basically the extras are a little file, and it includes, like, you can kind of saw through metal with this part, and then it has a wood saw. Very cool. But yeah, no pliers. And it's about the same bigness as the Deluxe Tinker. So, you know, you lose pliers, but you gain a saw and a file, and then the dolphin and the other thing on the back. So that's great and all, but I was still missing the pliers. So then here comes the Handyman, which is basically the Ranger, but it also has the pliers, which I love so much, which are nice. And these aren't like pliers in the sense of, oh god, I'm gonna, you know, tighten a bunch of nuts and bolts and stuff with it. This is more for like just kind of grabbing things, getting a better grip. You know, like if your fingers are, I don't know, wet or oily or something, this helps you be able to grab things much more easily. And of course you can still use it on smaller like nuts and bolts and stuff like that, but don't go expect to, you know, tear apart an engine or anything like that. So that finally brings us to here, the Swiss Champ, which I think is too big because it's like, I just don't think you get that much more value out of it compared to the Handyman, because it doesn't have any extra back tools, and on the front it has, here's an inline Phillips screwdriver, which again, like, I think that the bottle and can opener are enough. You get a little magnifying lens, which I don't know how often I would need to use that outside of like, I don't know, identifying a tick or something. But like, to me, like, a tick's a tick, so what do you need to know about it? I don't know. And then, no, that's actually the only differences on this compared to the Handyman, and of course the pliers. Oh, and then it has a pen on it, which is kind of cool. But you can buy like aftermarket scales that you can replace like the ones it comes with, and then you can get the pen with it. So yeah, kind of with these, it's like, I don't think any of them are really too big, because like once you get used to having like a 4-layer one in your pocket, like moving up a little bit more isn't that big of a deal. And you might think like, well, geez, look at that Handyman, that's a heck of a lot bigger than the Climber. But then, you know, how are you gonna fit that in your pocket and everything? It's so big. And it's just like, well, just think of it this way, you know, that's how much like width it's gonna take up in your pocket. So it's just marginally more, I think. It's kind of hard to show, but just, you know, really not that much more space, I don't think. I mean, of course it is a little bit heavier, but that's the point of these little suspension clips things, is that they dangle from the inside of your pocket, and it just keeps it from like clumping up at the bottom of your pocket where you can really feel it dragging your pants down. You know, this keeps it up higher, closer to your hip and everything. And it just kind of, I don't know, I'd almost say like wedges this between the inside of your pocket and like your outer thigh. So it just, you don't really feel it as much with any of these. And so in that same thing, I don't think this is like too big to carry in your pocket. I just don't think it offers enough like extra stuff to put in there. And that's the thing too, is like even the biggest one of these Swiss Army knives is still like smaller than even one of the small Leatherman type things. And you get way more tools out of it as long as you aren't trying to have like a beefier pair of pliers. But I don't know, I kind of think Swiss Army knives are great for, you know, with this, or not that, with this, just your kind of everyday person can get through like, I think nearly everything. And you know, if you're looking to get into Swiss Army knives, I think the Handyman is a really good place to start, because it's easier to, with something like this, I think it's easier to like have more and never be sitting there thinking like, well, what would it be like if I also had the pliers with it, or, you know, having the chisel or whatever. And then kind of moving backwards from there, because you'll realize pretty quick like what tools you need more and what you could get by without. And that's when you can kind of start, I think, diverging into the different rabbit holes of like, well, do I want the saw, or would I prefer to have the the nice file, or do I need either of those? And I can just go with the real slim, you know, climber thing. But honestly, I think this just doesn't take up, like, doesn't weigh a whole lot more, isn't a whole lot bigger. Let me see. So, Handyman, 5.5 ounces. Climber is about 3 ounces. So 2.5 ounces more, but like a whole pair of pliers, just a ton of utility. Yeah, and so, okay, let's say you still want the pliers. Let's just do the Deluxe Tinker instead. So that's just under 4.5. So it's like an ounce less than the Handyman. And then, oh, let's try the Ranger. It's just over 4 ounces. So I mean, the Ranger, I mean, this will give you more tools than the Handyman, but then you don't get the pliers. So yeah, honestly, I don't think any of these things are like too big for an everyday carry, as long as you have the suspension clip thing for it. And so if you're worried about like, oh God, what if I get one that's too big? I wouldn't be as worried about that as I would be about getting one that's too small, because then you just really run the risk of wanting to know what's on the other side. Let's just try the Swiss Champ. That's 6.5 ounces. This here's the Leatherman Wingman, 6.8 ounces. So I mean, even like this, you know, they're about the same size, and this just gives you a lot more utility. But I mean, yeah, the downside with any of these Swiss Army knives is that you'll never be able to like open a tool one-handed like you can with some of these more like plier based multi-tools or whatever. But you know, as long as you're kind of just having these on you for like, this is just a backup thing, and I don't need to like whip out a knife at a moment's notice or whatever. If you can take the time to use both your hands, then, you know, I think these are great. And if you don't need a big old pair of pliers. But yeah, so to answer the question again, like I did at the beginning of the video, how big is too big? I think the Swiss Champ it's too big versus how much stuff you get, especially when the Handyman's sitting right there and it's much more affordable. And yeah, and here's the thing too, if you're like, I don't really need the pliers, you can go on eBay right now and buy a Swiss Army Ranger for like 30 or 40 bucks. Like, it's awesome. And that's actually how I got mine. But like, I can hardly tell that it's been used. So, you know, your mileage may vary, but I haven't had any bad luck yet getting things off eBay. And like, it's better to spend less than more. That's what I always say. But yeah, I was trying to keep this kind of quick here, but hopefully I didn't go so fast that I lost the plot of all this. Yeah, go big, start going smaller after that. That's my advice. But if you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. And in the meantime, I will wait for your return in the next video. How much does my hand weigh? A pound? That can't be right.